How's it going, everybody? Time for React-urday. Day. And we're coming to you today from South Sudan.
No, we're not.
This is kind of in honor of Bol Bol. People are Bol Bol mania, Bol sanity everywhere.
Okay, so to tip that off.
To tip that off, that's why we're reacting to this Bol Bol video today from a year ago. And then maybe we can kind of talk about, okay, what were people saying about him a year ago? Where is he now?
Yeah, who is this man?
Who
and where is he going?
Bol Bol?
Okay, and there's a lot of enthusiasm on this side of the screen.
And maybe by the end of this video, there'll be enthusiasm on this side.
I just don't know.
Yes. All right, let's watch. Jimmy High Rollers, the best player in the NBA draft. No one is talking about, and it's Bol Bol.
Okay.
This is South Sudan, a country known for its political instability, ethnic diversity, rich culture, and tall people. Really tall people.
Wow.
South Sudan, or more specifically regions surrounding the Nile River, are home to the Dinka tribe, a large ethnic group with the fourth tallest population in the world with an average height of about 6 feet for men and 5'7" for the average woman. You probably recognize a few notable Dinka tribe figures in American culture, but that's nothing compared to one Dinka family in particular. You see, back in the early 1900s, there was a Dinka tribe leader who was a staggering 7 feet 10 inches tall. That tribe leader had a daughter named Manute. She was 6'10" and married a man by the name of Akwak, who was 6'8". Manute and Akwak gave birth to a baby girl who grew to be 6 feet 8 inches tall.
How old is that girl in that photo? Just ballpark. She looks like maybe 12 or 13.
I mean, I would say somewhere preteen, yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, she's obviously not 6'8" in that photo right there, but I mean, she's...
She would become...
A tall drink of water, as my grandfather would say.
Later on in 1962, Manute and Akwak were forced to seek refuge in a small village fleeing from the South Sudan Civil War. This same year, Manute gave birth to a boy. An extraordinarily tall boy, but born into...
Do you know who he's talking
Manute.
about? Manute Bol. There you go.
So Manute and Manute. So is that her child? That looks like that. So she's clearly in a maybe.
Well, I thought that was a sibling. Maybe I don't know.
I know because she doesn't look that old.
Not sure where Jimmy High Roller got his photos from.
A impoverished village with virtually no resources had no means of measuring himself. That boy grew up and married a 6'3" Dinka woman.
Wow.
Later on in life, he moved to the United States, and at the age of 18, he finally discovered how tall he actually was. 7 feet, 7 inches.
Let's just talk about, like, that's a basic thing. You don't know how old you are, or how tall you are?
Well, yeah, Manute grew up in, I guess it was Sudan at the time, because it wasn't South Sudan yet. Mm-hmm. But I've actually read about him before, and it's spelled W-A-U. Wa, maybe, is the city where he grew up. And, yeah, it's third world of the third world.
It's insane.
Yeah.
His name was Manute.
Look at those legs.
He had a 7 foot 10 inch grandfather,
like
a family tree of giants, and he spent 10 years sending shots into the third row in the NBA. Now, I ask myself...
Yeah, it's just think like, okay, of all the different paths Manute Bol's life could have gone, and he makes it to the NBA making millions of dollars. I mean, yeah, it was in the 80s, but he was still making millions, I guess, back then. The salaries weren't like what they are now.
I'll take it.
Yeah, he made a great life for himself, for his family. Mm-hmm. Tragically, he died a few years ago. Oh. So Manute's no longer with us, but his legacy lives on in Bol Bol.
With all of this height, a build and skill set practically designed for basketball, and elite-level connections within the basketball world, how long could it possibly take before Manute produced a child with NBA potential? Well, the answer is 10. Exactly 10. Of those 10
children.
One was destined
and
for
only
greatness.
One in the NBA.
Suitably named after his 7 foot 10 inch great-grandfather. And from the plains of South Sudan to a small gym in Kansas, the basketball gods aligned all of their stars for this Dinka tribe descendant.
All right, we following
That's
so
just
far.
The introduction.
That's just the intro.
Wow.
The 2019 NBA draft draft is littered with potential NBA game changers. There is the obvious Duke trio in Zion, Barrett, and Reddish, Ja Morant, a player that gives us flashbacks of a young Derrick Rose, a silky smooth point guard in Darius Garland, the dangerously lethal Kevin Porter out of USC, and the big man that got the nation talking with his high performance in the NCAA tournament this year, Taco Fall. You also have a handful of these players who it seemed like just yesterday that we were breaking down their high school highlights, like Tyler Hero, Jalen Hands, Jonte Porter. You know, a lot of people say that this year's draft is a bit underwhelming or that it's top-heavy. Outside of the first 3 to 5 picks, there isn't much to be excited about. But I beg to differ. In fact, I completely disagree. This year's draft has exceptional talent, it has depth, it has potential, and it has a few big-time sleepers. None bigger than that young man from the Dinka tribe, Bol Bol. So before we talk about his clearly obvious world-class stature, I want to talk about a few other aspects of his game that make Bol Bol special. First, his defensive dominance. Bol's timing on defense resembles that of a veteran big. He's long enough that he doesn't have to leave his feet to contest shots, but when he does leave the floor, he's nearly impossible to go over. His insane 9'7" standing reach is already unfair.
9'7" standing.
Yeah, that's hard to imagine, right? I mean,
is that like our ceiling height, basically?
Yeah,
10 feet?
Yeah, basically. I mean, yeah, it's in college he averaged I think like 20 and 10, and I mean, there's no surprise there. I mean, he's always the biggest dude on the floor at all times.
Yeah. So yeah, let's see what he can do.
Match that with his elite athleticism, and he truly becomes a mismatch for nearly anyone given the task of guarding him or being guarded by him. Just like his father, Bol manages to get the absolute most out of his height and length.
So he can
such a good blocker.
He can block shots. That's been established.
Now,
yes.
Bol only played 9 games this past year for the University of
9
Oregon
games,
before sustaining a season-ending injury. But in those 9...
Let's just talk about this Oregon court for a second.
I kind of like it. I really
Do you?
Like
I don't know. I like it because it's different.
So for this video, we're gonna see what Jimmy High Roller was saying about him last year. But what about what he's done recently?
Well, that's the thing. He's yet to play in an official NBA game. He spent his entire career so far in the G League. It's just because he was playing the other day in that scrimmage, which doesn't count. It's basically preseason games before the NBA restart. But that's why everybody's going crazy, because it's the first time seeing Bol Bol against NBA competition. Granted, it was a Wizards team that's pretty decimated already, but people are craving their content.
Games, he averaged 2.7 blocks per game, 6th best in the entire NCAA, which shouldn't really be to anyone's surprise. Throughout his father's entire NBA career, Manute averaged 3.3 blocks per game. Not just because he was a walking skyscraper, but because of his impeccable defensive instincts and his athleticism that you'd never expect from one of the tallest men in the entire world. Fortunately for Bol, his father passed down these tools along with much, much more. Most guys 7 feet 2 inches or taller pay a hefty price for all that size. They're usually heavy-footed, struggle to get up and down the floor, and don't have the bounce in their step that most smaller guys have. They also tend to lack a soft touch once they get any further than about 15 feet from the basket. In recent years, we've seen a few players defy this trend, but for the most part, this is where big guys stand. A bit clumsy, a bit slow, but long enough to make things happen.
I think that's Satnam Singh, who was the first ever player from India drafted. He was drafted by Dallas a few years ago. He's never played in the league.
Oh.
He was like a 7'2", 300-pound guy, just a big dude.
Giant.
But Bol Bol is everything you would not expect from a 7'2" center. Imagine you create a player on 2K. You max out his height, max out his wingspan, crank his offensive skill sets way up. And I'm not talking about the stereotypical big man skill sets, strength, post moves, things like that. I'm talking about...
But I mean, yeah, 7'2" and 215 pounds, I mean, that's the weight of, some point guards in the league. That's the weight of a lot of 2 guards in the league. So, it makes sense that NBA teams would have reservations like, okay, can this guy handle an NBA season?
What would he need ideally?
Well, I mean, you would think, okay, he needs to bulk up. But then you're like, well, is that going to make him slower? Is he going to be able to be as athletic?
What about that je ne sais quoi? Because everyone was saying that Zion needs to slim down, right? And so
there was a lot of fat shaming.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of, you can look at charts all day long, but sometimes, it's that special something that makes a player amazing. And so forcing a player to go one way or the other, weight-wise or bulk-wise, I feel it's a little formulaic. Maybe they should let him shine.
Yeah. Let Bol Bol be Bol Bol.
Yeah. Say that?
Bol Bol be Bol Bol.
Inside game, mid-range, vision, touch, passing, and just for shits and giggles, max out his shot blocking while you're at it.
Well, I think he would. I think he swore they were bleeping out. Apparently,
I'm a fan of the dolphin. Bleep.
My OCD here, seeing passing the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth little cube over. It's not level with the others.
That little block.
I can't concentrate on what Jimmy High Roller's saying because I'm fixated on that.
As far as all of those other attributes, well, you ran out of VCs, so you just leave them where they're at. You can work on those later. And bada bing, bada bang, you've got Bol Bol.
So yeah, let's look at this a second. So if we're looking at Bol Bol, strength and speed.
How is this tabulated? I don't. What is this? Just
I don't know. I think this is just kind of Jimmy's own his own high roller his own high roller analytics. We've heard of PER. This is, I guess, JER, Jimmy High Roller Efficiency Rating. But I mean, yeah, it's again, it's not brain surgery. He's 7'2". You're going to have high blocks, high rebounding, high layups. The 3-point percentage, or his ability to shoot 3-pointers, that's something that kind of gave him that unicorn label because he can stretch the floor.
That player you create when you just want to cheese absolutely everyone online. Another aspect of his game that doesn't get as much attention as it should is his shooting ability, and
I don't know that I've cheesed anyone online.
He has a set of moves that opens him up to shots from anywhere on the floor, backing down in the post, mid-range, and the 3-ball. And not only can he get to these shots, he's lethal once he gets there. Bol doesn't just shoot well for a big man. He is a 7'2" sniper. This past season, Bol shot 56% from the field and 52% from 3, which means that this 7'2" center shot the best 3-point percentage of anyone in the entire NCAA last season. Of course, he was only on the floor for about a third of the season, but this is the sample size we have to work with. In fact, over the last 10 years, only 18 players in the entire NCAA have shot 52% or better from 3. Most of these players were around 6 feet tall. A couple of these guys would make Isaiah Thomas feel pretty good about his stature, and the tallest of them was back in 2014, a 6'7" guard named Niles Giffey. But other than him, there isn't much size to go around here. And then there's Bol Bol, an absolute anomaly. But if you're even briefly familiar with his father's game, Bol Bol's shooting touch shouldn't surprise you too much. For most of his career, Manute played in an NBA that saw minimal threes. Entire NBA teams shot 4, 5, maybe 6 threes a game for Manute's best years. But that didn't stop him from pulling up from deep far more than any other center before him. In fact, you might remember the nights where Manute hit 6 3-pointers in a single game.
Wade cocks it back so far.
I mean, a single half. Manute's numbers don't really give his outside touch the justice it deserves, but just search Manute Bol 3-pointer on YouTube and watch the shenanigans unfold before you. 7-footers were not designed to do this in the 80s. But, lucky for Bol Bol, in 2019, 7-footers are encouraged to expand their outside game rather than deterred from it. He's got this silky smooth pull-up game that you just can't teach, and the handles to get wherever he needs to on the floor. He also possesses the patience of a true veteran big when he's working down low. He can get to his spot, and once he's there, good luck doing anything to contest it. Bol Bol can cover more area vertically than any other player in the entire NBA, other than his fellow draft class member Taco Fall. It also must be noted that these measurements were taken 2 years ago, when Bol was only 17 years old. And if you've been following him the past few years, you know that he's grown since then. But excluding Kristaps Porzingis, when these big men, and the majority of 7-footers, shoot anything outside of 10 feet, it looks awkward. like they shouldn't be shooting that shot. But that's not the case with Bol Bol. In fact, most scouting reports compare his game to Kristaps Porzingis, which is understandable. Tall, long, can handle the ball if you need him to, athletic and light on his feet for a 7-footer. But personally, I see the influence of a different player when I watch Bol play. Someone who most NBA players claim is a true 7-footer.
This will be interesting. So he's about to give his comparison, and knowing now what we know about Bol Bol, it'll be fun.
Who do you think it's going to be?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, you would think you would probably compare him to some guy who's not a center at all. You would think you would compare him to someone who's just a really good three-point shooter. Watch him say Steph Curry.
Has the skills of a guard. And that is Kevin Durant.
Oh, okay.
Earlier on in KD's basketball career, his game was a bit less refined, but the arsenal has always been visible. Scoring from a variety of moves, can get to a spot down low or pull up from outside. Also displays consistency and proficiency from mid-range, something that is becoming more and more rare. Can defend outside, but can also protect the paint with his length, timing, and athleticism. Has the size to be a favorable matchup at his position almost every time, but has the skill set to not rely on his size alone to get buckets. Could definitely benefit from putting on some weights, and certainly cannot assert himself through physical strength alone.
That was a big thing when Durant got drafted in, 2008 maybe? 8, 9, whatever year it was. So they used to have this thing at the Combine, maybe they still do, where they would see how many times a guy could bench press a 185-pound barbell. Because, they would do that along with, height and weight and, hand size, just the little, strength and conditioning exercises they would do. Anyway, I don't think he could lift the 185-pound bar at all. And people were like, "Oh, well, Durant, he's a weakling. He's terrible." But it's not often that basketball players are bench pressing 185-pound bars during a game. So
is it a true indicator
exactly
of their ability
basketball
and talent?
ability?
IQ, yeah.
Sure.
Now, doesn't all of that sound eerily familiar? So you're probably thinking, if Bol Bol has all of this incredible potential, all of this height and skill, why is he projected to go 15th overall and not higher? Well, first things first, we gotta talk about that foot injury. It was enough to take him out for 2/3 of the season, and at his size, I think it's fair to say that it's a legitimate concern. But with that being said, with great risk comes great reward. We have seen countless big men fall to serious injuries, but we've also seen players bounce back and come back better than before. At his young age, I 100% feel that with the right staff around him and with sufficient recovery time, Bol will have no problem exceeding his current level of play, healthier than ever. Some scouts have concerns that his slim frame will be a problem as a big man in the NBA, and again, concerns with injury. But consider the fact that...
Has he bulked up at all? Do you know?
When I saw him the other day, he didn't look much different than these clips here. I'm sure he's put on a little bit of weight. I mean, you would think he's put on a good 5 to 10 pounds of muscle anyway.
Doesn't rely on physical strength to assert himself on offense or defense anyways. Durant and Porzingis aren't strong either, and they are elite on both ends of the floor because strength was never something they fell back on. Rather, they allowed their athleticism, length, and skill set to do the heavy lifting. Manute's career was virtually ended by a knee injury, which again isn't uncommon for players of this stature. But at his peak, Manute was 7'7" 190 pounds.
190.
Bol Bol is 5 inches shorter and already 30 pounds heavier.
Okay.
His frame is slim, but far from fragile. Sometimes freak injuries happen, and I think that's all that foot injury was. So, if the only concerns regarding this 7'2" offensively gifted shot blocker is his slim frame and a season-ending injury, sign me up. The kid has a calm, cool, and collected aspect to his game that you just can't teach. He protects the rim on one end and can attack it with elite proficiency on the other. Leave him outside and he'll make you pay. Close out on him and he has the athleticism to blow past you. Put a big man on him and watch Bol size him up from all 3 levels. Put a little guy on him and watch how he shoots right over his head without hesitation. If you're looking for a guy who can improve your organization the day he's drafted, well, there's a few other guys in this draft who can do that for you. But if you're looking for a
It's like
long-term
Jimmy's Bol Bol's agent or
with all
something.
the tools in his
The
toolbox
PR piece
and
on
a
Bol
ceiling
Bol.
higher than just
He's a
about
big fan.
everyone
He has
else,
stock in Jimmy,
you're looking
as
at.
Bill Simmons
Of course,
would say.
all of his tools need to be sharpened and refined, but if an organization is willing to take the time with this young man, figure out what makes him tick, and keep him healthy, we will look back on the 2019 NBA draft and wonder, how did the NBA let Bol Bol slip to the 17th pick, and how did we not see this kid coming?
More like 45th.
Hope you all
And
enjoyed
he was
it.
crying that
And as
night,
always,
huh? Or not Bol Bol,
until
but
next time.
Jimmy?
Jimmy.
Yeah, right? So, are you a Bol Bol fan now?
I'm very interested to see what happens.
Yeah, I was watching a video this morning actually from AM Hoops,
Yeah.
our buddy at AM Hoops,
Yeah.
and he was saying that he doesn't think Bol Bol. So Bol Bol got 16 points in his scrimmage the other day.
Okay. Is he not a Bol Bol believer?
He's not quite yet. He says he doesn't think Bol Bol is going to score 16 points again this year or in the playoffs. And he said
That's kind of rough.
yeah, he says that he challenges it, like he said, he told people to put in the comments, like, challenge me to do whatever, dye my hair, whatever color,
Don't
whatever.
at me.
And
Yeah,
if
okay.
he gets those 16 points, he'll do.
Well, I'm
what
really
he's-
excited.
yeah.
We'll have to do a reaction video if he ends up having to dye his hair.
Yeah, I
pink
know,
or
right?
Any other things.
Okay, well,
What do
hey,
you think about Bol Bol?
you know, I think Bol Bol's going to be all right. I was
Tell
very.
it to the camera.
Oh yeah, Bol Bol's going to be all right. I was very surprised when Bol Bol slipped to the 45th pick.
I remember watching it.
Yeah, I would have. I mean, I think Bol Bol's definitely worth a late first rounder, and
Who drafted him?
he was drafted. I can't remember who drafted him, but he was traded to the Nuggets
Okay.
for a second round pick. But yeah, it's one of those things where if you can get a guy with the 45th pick, pretty much anything he gives you at all is gravy. But yeah, I think Bol Bol's got a lot of potential. I think with Bol Bol, it's all between the ears. I just hope he enjoys and has that passion for basketball, or else it's going to be tough for him to succeed in the league.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, hey, this has been React-urday.
React-urday.
Always fun to do these. Let us know in the comments if there's any videos you want us to react to. And yeah, maybe we'll do them. But got a new video tomorrow about Matisse Thybulle.
Matisse, the
Yeah,
great Matisse.
The great Matisse. Not a reaction video for Matisse, but just kind of talking about Matisse and his journey to the NBA and kind of what his career holds, I guess. Okay, so thanks for watching. This is Troy.
And Caitlin.
And we'll see you next time.